Hi, guys. Don't mind my giant water bottle. It's fine. It's a little big. Hi. It's great to my hold on. It's great to be here tonight. I've obviously never been here, and so I'm really excited. Hold on, let me put my password in, just real quick. Okay. Yes. So my name is Kate. It's great to see your cute faces tonight. I loved my 20s. I know it looks like I'm 20, but no, but I loved my 20s, so it's fun to be here. And he says I preached. I used to do middle school ministry, so nothing, don't be impressed. But so I'll start off. When Zach called me a few weeks ago, I was like, nope, in the back of my mind. And then I was like, huh? Who told you I was an 8? That's kind of how I felt a little bit. But no, this is good. I felt the Holy Spirit say, yes, do it. So I said, okay. And as I've been preparing, I've been so nervous. I do not recommend speaking on yourself. Like, it is really hard. It is really hard. And I also don't recommend doing counseling, starting counseling 2 weeks before you speak. That's what I did. And the Lord has wrecked me these past 2 weeks, truly. It's been quite an experience, but a good one, a really good one. So yes, my name is Kate Davenport. My husband, Clint, is usually in the sound booth. He's a rock star at sound. And we've been married for 13 years. I know, we got married at 12. It was arranged. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But we really have been married for almost 13 years now. We have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old, which is crazy to say, a 9-year-old daughter, Presley, and a 6-year-old boy, Zion. And my husband and I learned about the Enneagram probably 5 years or so ago. It felt like no one knew about the Enneagram then. It was only 5 years. It's been around for like centuries. So it's been fun to kind of see it get a little bit more popular. Does anybody... I know you guys, this is like week 8, so you guys are probably mostly like, yeah, we know. But is anybody unfamiliar with the Enneagram, or you're like, huh? Okay, all right. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate it. So it's literally, it's a personality tool. I think it's a great tool. But just diving in, one of my favorite things about the Enneagram and kind of learning my type was it put words to things I already knew about myself. Like, you obviously know your tendencies and your struggles and all of that, but the Enneagram like literally puts words to it, and you're like, oh, okay. It's kind of mortifying too. Like when you start reading the darker parts, you're like, yeah, it's a little bit mortifying, right? Yeah, seriously. Thank you for participating. I appreciate it. Thank you for your service. But the thing I do want to say is that the Enneagram is based on all motivation. So with that, a lot of people like to take the test, which is, the tests are great. A lot of Enneagram experts actually say the tests are tricky because the Enneagram is based on the motivation. So oftentimes as humans, we take the test and we say, what do I kind of want to be like? And then we'll take the test a little bit based off of that, sometimes, not always. So with that being said, most Enneagram experts just say, dive in, read about it, read a book, listen to podcasts, dive in and learn about things. Sometimes the test can derail you. So you can kind of say, oh yeah, I can see that. And you kind of put yourself into this box. So I would encourage you, if you want to use the Enneagram as a tool and you don't know what your number is, maybe not take the test. I'm not saying it's horrible, but you may want to just start reading a little bit about it. Anyway, so I am an Enneagram 8, hold on, type 8, all right. Here we go. So this is just a little schmodge podge of things I really like. These are all over Instagram. I really like some of these. So here is just a little bit obvious. I'm going to break it down a lot more, but here's a little introduction. I'm actually going to start with the unhealthy levels of an 8. A lot of people like to start with the good parts. I'm going to end with the good parts. So I'm going to start with the unhealthy levels. The 8 is called the challenger. So I guess it's no surprise that I'm going to go, boop, flip it a little bit. But the unhealthy level, I forget which button was up or down. See, he's like, hold it like this and push this. And I was like, okay. Now I forget. Hold on. I'm already forgetting. Okay, unhealthy levels of an 8. Define any attempt to control them: ruthless, dictatorial, hard-hearted, violent, combative, struggles with vulnerability, intimidating to get their way, and struggles with anger. That's really hard for me to read out loud. It really, really is. And even just diving into this, I'm like, holy moly, it's all right there on a page. But the thing I will say, like, all of this really came out a lot more once I got married and had kids. So a little bit of this, I know, wow, I did not expect that. It's true. It's hard. It's so true. Obviously, a little bit of this as a kid, you're wild and crazy as a child, and so things come out. But a lot of it really, really, truly came out marriage and having children wrecks you. Like, it is like so, it really brings you to your knees, and it really makes you realize how selfish you are and how ugly you can be. So what I will say, like, as before I continue, is like, do some really hardcore heart work. Like, in your stage right now, counseling, like, do not be ashamed. Like, literally, if you don't think you need it, try it out. Like, I'm not kidding. I wish I had done that. I wish I had kind of dove into those things, because it wasn't until when I was in college I kind of was like, oh, my childhood wasn't perfect, I'll get into that. All right, well, that's a terrible photo. I apologize. So if you squint your eyes a little bit, you won't see as pixelated it is. So with that, the 8 goes to 5. So with the Enneagram, there's two numbers that you go to. Stress and growth. Every single number, stress and growth. I go to 5. So 5 in stress, which is what I just read. 5, what that can look like is I can tend to go into a cave. I can wall everybody out, hard-hearted, like, nope, I don't need you. Obviously, what that entails is usually you're in pain. I'm struggling, and so I'm like, nope, I'm going to wall everybody out. As I've gotten older, I've learned those things about myself, and so it's gotten a little bit easier to deal with and focus on. But what I want, the reason why I want to begin with this is, like, literally every single bit of ugliness and all the struggles that you have, like, if anything you hear me say tonight, Jesus, like, literally by the blood of Jesus, like, everything you struggle with, he covers that. If you're in the middle of the night and you're struggling and you're like, why am I here? Jesus covers that. Like, if you hear me say anything, and that's why I wanted to start out with the ugly parts, because I'm like, by the blood of Jesus, like, truly, truly. He himself bore our sins in his body on the tree. I just love how they say that, because it's not a tree, but it's so much more poetic. That we might die to sin and live to righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed. So, okay, so basic fear, being harmed, controlled, taken advantage of. Like, I'm not kidding you. The amount of scenarios, I'm not exaggerating, that I've gone through my mind of, like, okay, if this happens, I'm going to do this, and, like, I will kill him. Like, I will literally, like, in my brain, like, that is what goes on. And it's not out of fear. It's straight up out of, like, protection. I know that might sound intense, but it's true. Like, it's just so guttural within me. And then you'll see how that comes out for others as well, like the strong desire to protect others too. Basic, and myself, obviously. To protect myself, basic desire to be in control of my life and my own destiny. Yes, all the yes. The sin that an 8 struggles with is lust, but how that looks is being excessive, over the top, loud music, really good food. Oh gosh, I can't think of more examples, but just more, excess, a lot, bring it on. Like, anyway, that's how that carries out. This is random. Oh no, right. Okay, so it's not random, it's Jesus, but he has delivered us from the domain of darkness and transferred in Latin is to carry, which I think is so beautiful. Jesus carries us to the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, hold on. I'm going to go back. Just a little bit of my testimony. I might cry. I don't like to be vulnerable. That's like part of being an 8. I mean, I do. I do when I'm like one-on-one with someone and I'm really sharing my heart, hardcore, bring it on. But this is really hard for me. Anyway, okay. So my family, I actually grew up in a really just like cookie cutter family. I have an older brother. My mom and dad were really, really stable in my life. I lived in the same home from the time I was 4 that my dad built to 18. I grew up in the same church from 9 months to 18 when I went to college. So lots and lots and lots of stability, like the same people in my life all the time, the same families, grew up in the same church, like a lot of stability. So you might think like, wow, that's really cool. It was really cool. It was a huge gift. My parents came to all my games, every single game they could go to, and my brother's games, like so supportive. My dad was a firefighter, and so he was gone kind of a lot, but also really, really present too. Some of my favorite memories were of my dad in bed with me at night, answering all my questions, and just listening and caring and loving. Like beautiful. He's an amazing guy. On the flip side of that was that my dad was gone and working. Like I said, again, also very present, but he was gone and working, And as a firefighter, he's gone overnight, so like days at a time. And he would work overtime, more days at a time. So I was at home with my mom. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I truly believe, before I go into a little bit of this, I truly believe, with my whole heart, my mom and dad did the very best they could. And especially as a parent, you really try. You screw up all the time, but my parents, I know that they did the best that they could, full stop. But my mom was very emotionally not present, never emotionally around. We didn't have too many, heart-to-hearts. And I looking back now, I realize she was probably dealing with her own pain and struggles, as a mom and all of that. But the way it came towards me was that she kind of was a little bit closed off. She didn't want, I was intense as a kid. And it multiple times came across I can't handle you. And so I think over time, I dealt with a lot of anger. I kind of closed myself in and was mentally, screw you. I mean, obviously I didn't say that, but that's kind of how I felt. And though I loved her and I know she loved me, I really, really, it caused a lot of pain in my heart as I got older. It's still hard for me. I know she loves me. She's still around to this day. But she's very emotionally closed off from me. And so that I still really struggle with it, if I'm being totally honest. So with that, I think what I came to believe about Jesus was that I had to do it myself. My mom wasn't there. My dad was there and he loved me. He's a very laid back guy. He's a 9. so precious and loving, but really, really a little bit more passive. So I just kind of came to believe that I had to do everything on my own. I just kind of had to suck it up and just go. And the thing about 8s is that 8s do they do first before they think. So I'll just do something and then later I'll kind of process it and go, oh, that's a common theme in my life. And so with that, doubled with, I got this. I don't need anybody. That's kind of the lie I told myself. I don't need anybody. I have to do it all on my own. And so I believe that about Jesus. I love God and I knew God, but I deep down, I actually just discovered this 2 weeks ago. I tend to block him out. I tend to just say, I have to do this on my own. I'm on my own. So with that, I also developed a lot of anger, and anger that I didn't know how to process. And as if you've dove into the Enneagram at all, my dad's a 9, and 9s are asleep to their anger. My mom's a 1, and 1s suppress their anger. And then here I was, very physical with my anger, and very verbal. And so it was hard. I didn't develop a lot of coping skills, good, healthy coping skills. As a kid, so it was hard, and it's still hard as I'm married and have kids. With that, just a little caveat is that a lot of what I've learned is to apologize, 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 apologize. I have to do it to my kids. I started when my daughter was 18 months old. I'm sorry, Mama overreacted, and I apologize. I should not have done that. And so I've kind of developed this pattern of just apologizing and reconnecting and reconnecting and reconnecting because I didn't get that as a kid. So by the grace of Jesus, my daughter is so attached to me. She could not be more separate from me. From the time she was born to 2 years old, she was like a Velcro child. And it was by the grace of Jesus, that she wants to be around me and still wants to be around me. And so really beautiful. Also counseling, get counseling before you get married or have children. Trust me on that one. All right, so in those tough moments that I have to remind myself, like, Jesus died on the cross for that. Jesus died on the cross for that, and that, and that, and that, and he covers it all. So if you go away tonight and don't remember anything I said, that's fine, but remember that. Okay. Oh, gosh. I made it. I made it to the other side of that. So the healthy attributes of an 8, this part's kind of fun because I get to tell stories that seemed normal to me, but, as I've talked to my husband and my best friend and some of my other friends are like, no, that's very much an 8 thing. And I say, okay. So healthy attributes of an 8, self-confident. My mom told me when I was learning how to drive that I was an overconfident driver, and I was like, Mom, okay. Doesn't mean I was a good driver, but she told me I was overconfident. So I was like, okay. I do love to drive. I still love to drive. I like to be in control. So if I'm in my friends know, if we go on a road trip, I'll drive. Yeah, it's also a joke. I saw it in an Enneagram thing of Enneagram numbers on road trips, and the 8 was like, I know you don't care, or no, she says, thank you for letting me drive even though you had no choice. I was like, yes. Strong, just kind of don't want to appear weak, totally. But a piece of that was that when I was a kid, I used to arm wrestle the boys in my elementary school class, and I would win. And I really enjoyed it. So dorky. But on a serious note, my best friend, I texted her. Love her. She's a 3. And she tells me that she loves coming to me because I can handle a lot. I can handle a lot of hard stuff. I can handle a lot of emotion. I can handle a lot of intense information. And it doesn't rattle me too much. I can kind of be present in that, and I don't bring it home to where it destroys me. And she loves that about me because she's the opposite. She'll listen to someone's story and she'll take it home with her. She's precious. But that is something she told me specifically, and I said, okay, thank you for sharing. I can shake things off fairly quickly as well. So yeah, I already said that. Assertive or protective? Yes, yes, yes. I know mamas are known to be very protective over their children. However, more recently, we moved to a new neighborhood here 3 years ago. Hair stickling me. And 2 dogs for the second time in the loose in our neighborhood. And they were mean dog, like very muscular dogs, very aggressive, not just go away. They were not going away. And it was the second time, and I was like, So my kids came in, and I was like, oh, God bless my husband. I texted him, where's the gun? Wasn't my best move. And he was like, why do you need my gun? And then I thought, no, that's traumatic. That would be very traumatic for my children. That would be very traumatic for all involved. I would not. So I'm just, okay, I love animals. I really, really do. But if you are attacking my children or if you're near to attacking my children, watch out. So what I did instead is I got a tree trimmer. And it's 12 feet long. And it has a thing on the end, okay? So I got that. And, Clint told me I should bring it. My husband told me I should bring it. And I was like, I don't know. That's a little dramatic. I'm not J.O., okay? So, it was 12, he said it was 12 feet. So it's really big. So I'm literally in the neighborhood And I'm going after these. I'm like, where are they? And my kids are like, they're right there. Not joking. They were starting to attack a couple and their baby right as I'm bringing this like tree trimmer out. And the dad was literally going, get away, get away. So we're not talking like, anyway, I'm just painting a scenario for you. And I was like, oh. So I come and I'm like going at them. And then they end up running away. But then I saw the owner and I was like, this is not okay. This is not okay. I put the tree trimmer down and I said, this is not okay. This can't happen again. Anyway, so, yeah. And my husband goes, most people would just shut their door. And I was like, I know, but I couldn't. I felt it in me. So that is like really deep within me to protect others and to protect my children. I know, don't judge me, okay? I just want to say that. Or do, whatever, it's fine. Another scenario in high school, my friend, a huge crowd just starts surrounding us with my friend. And then Lupe, she's very strong, comes up and wanted to literally beat up my friend. I don't even know why. People were chanting things, and I was not happy. And so she literally pulls my friend down by the hair and starts beating her. And I'm like, no. And then all I remember is I pushed her off of my friend, and Lupe's hair goes, whoosh, and she looks at me in the face, and I go, what is your problem? That's all I could think to do. And I don't know what else I said, and she ended up leaving, and the crowd dispersed. And anyway, don't mess with the people I love. Resourceful. I heard it said one time is that 8s problem solve in the future. I thought that was very interesting, and it's not out of a place of fear. It's out of a place of like, well, I've learned later that I don't want the situation to control me. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to get ready for this and get ready for this and get ready for this. And obviously there's a piece of that too where I'm like, Lord, you cover all. And I have to like surrender to that and say, I am only human. I can only do so much. So that's a growth. And especially with protecting others too. I'm like, Lord, you are the great protector, truly. So yes, anyway, resourceful. My car's always stock full of I'm not kidding, an extra set of clothes for everyone in my family, an emergency first aid kit, a tool to break the windows and the seatbelt, and water. My dad's a firefighter too, so I kind of, seatbelt cutter and all that. Just made sense. A can-do-it attitude. I just told my husband, my parents bought a boat, and I just told my husband, it'd be fun for me to bring it out with some of my friends. So I told him, I'll just load it up and I'll take it down to the river and unload it. And he looks at me and he's like, I fully believe you could probably do that, but I need to teach you. But I literally in my mind was like, I've seen you do it before. Like I can unload it and load it back up and with his truck and all that. So anyway, yeah, doesn't mean I would always do a great job, but in my mind, I'm like, I could do that. Yeah. Straight talker, yes. And a part of that too is like when someone's giving me information, to the point. I don't need a lot of fluff, even like criticism, to the point. I don't need the sandwich, to the point. I don't mind encouragement. I'm human. But to the point, like that's like a huge, huge thing. Don't beat around the bush. So if you know an 8 in your life, to the point. You're probably not going to hurt their feelings. I mean, you might, but you might not know it either, so it's fine. Decisive. My mom used to tell me, my mom's very indecisive, and she always used to tell me she liked to bring me places because I would just make decisions for her. I love a good verbal spar. It's true. As long as you're respectful, I love to go toe-to-toe. I've kind of always been that way. I've never been, it's not like I'm always respectful when I was a kid especially, but it's just part of who I am. I don't know, I should have been on the debate team, but I wasn't. So that is the gist of that. As far as like when 2s go to strength, 8s go to strength, they go to 2, which was that diagram that I showed earlier. A lot of what that looks like is a 2 or an 8. We don't have a lot of strings attached. So we care for people, we love others, but it's not in this stance of like, I need something back from you. Like it's a full stop, like, hey, this is for you, I'll do this for you, I care about you. I don't need anything in return. So that's a lot of what the 8-2 connection. So kind of just to wrap things up, the struggles you have, or your Enneagram levels of disintegration, which is like where you go to in stress if you dive into the Enneagram, those are the reasons Jesus died for you. And his blood covers that. And like I said earlier, like if you're in those dark moments of your life where you're like, I can't believe I did that, or you're really struggling, like literally never forget that. And yes, Jesus' blood covers that. The Enneagram is a great tool. It can guide us towards health. It gives us a lot of grace for people. My husband and I, when I learned about his Enneagram number, I legitimately was like, oh, you're not doing that to annoy me. That's literally how you're wired. Like it seriously was so helpful to me because I learned more about his number, and I'm like, and he's a 3, so he cares a lot more about what people think, and I'm an 8, and I really don't care as much about what people think about me, so we bump heads on that a lot. But it's been very, very helpful because it's just given us language to understand each other. And then family members too. It's really given me a lot of grace for my mom to kind of understand more about her too as well. But Shelby touched on this last week, which I love, but every Enneagram number, every person, I mean, forget the Enneagram, you all reflect the goodness and beauty of Jesus, like truly. And I found this, nope, backwards. I found that, oh my gosh, here we go. I loved this. So type 1, goodness and rightness. Type 2, love and nurture. Type 3, hope and radiance. Type 4, creativity and depth. Type 5, wisdom and truth. Type 6, faithfulness and courage. Type 7, joy and abundance. 8, power and protection. Type 9, peace and oneness. I just loved how that was, it's so beautiful, so simple, and so true. We need all of you. We need everybody. Because you reflect, each and every one of you reflects something about Jesus. So if you're, anytime even I'm like, oh, I'm too much. I'm a lot of human. I'm like, no, Jesus, you created me. I tell my kids every single night, people like you. What you have to say is important. You were created for a purpose and on purpose. And I'm like, I have to literally tell myself that. Like, I was created for a purpose and on purpose. So, I don't have questions, but kind of what I was like, all right, Lord, like, I was really struggling with questions, but I kind of, as you break out in groups, like, what's on your heart? Just share what's on your heart. What are you struggling with this week? What do you need to get out to the people in your circle? Sometimes questions, discussion questions for me, at least, I'm like, but let's get to the heart. Like, let's dive in a little bit more. It can kind of derail things. Not always. I think questions, it can be really good too. But tonight, share what's on your heart. So, anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you, you guys. I was so nervous, and now I'm like, oh, this feels so good. This feels so good to be done with. Okay.